Up on screen. All right. Well, we are very excited to be kicking off this night of music and talking with you all. My name is Emily Badix. I'm one of the co-directors here at the San Francisco Disability Cultural Center. I have a couple of access notes before we begin. If you'd like to join with more personalized captions, you can access those on stream text at dcc.page/captions. If you're joining by Zoom, it's a bit more like watching a TV program tonight. You can't turn your video on and off. The Q&A space is available for you to share your comments, reactions, cheer folks on. And if you can't access that space, you can email us at access@disabilityculturalcenter.org if you're feeling left out and want us to send that to you afterwards. We are very excited to be bringing Gaelynn Lea to our space today. When the Cultural Center had its virtual opening 2 years ago, we invited some performers who we think most illustrate what disability culture is all about. And Gaelynn kicked off the DCC during that program. And we knew we also couldn't wait to get her in the doors for a hybrid event. So we're so excited to get to share her new book with you all tonight and to have her in conversation with friends, because we always love friends and we always love community chats. So we're so grateful to have another disability trailblazer, Haben Girma, with us tonight in conversation. And with that, I will pass it to Gaelynn and Haben. They're going to be in conversation, and then we'll move into the performance piece.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to be with my friend Haben. We met in 2022 in Geneva, Switzerland. So I'll let Haben kick it off because she has all these questions prepared. But thank you for being here, and I'm just so excited. It's an honor to know that Alice's spirit is living on through these events. So just wanted to say thank you to her life and generosity to make this kind of thing possible. So anyways, kick it off, Haben.
I'm so glad that Gaelynn Lea is here with us in San Francisco. Her book is phenomenal. I've read it twice. And I highly recommend it for everyone. I'm going to be asking questions so you can learn about some of the stories in her book. But first, I want to quickly talk about what to expect and communication. I'm using a braille display, which is in front of me, and a typist who's transcribing what's being said. You'll notice a delay between when Gaelynn speaks and when I respond, and that's because the communication's coming through. Part of accessibility is patience, making time for all kinds of voices and all the different ways we communicate. The first half hour, Gaelynn and I will be chatting about her book. The second half hour, Gaelynn will play her violin. And the third, we will be available to chat with people one-on-one. And Gaelynn will have books for people to sign, and you can ask her questions. So if you have questions, save it for the end. My first question for Gaelynn is about the title of her book. It's called It Wasn't Meant to Be Perfect. I feel like that title invites us to breathe, relax, and embrace who we are at the moment. And she gives us this gift before we even open the book. How did you come up with that title?
I think that's a great question. I came up with the title because there's 3 reasons. The first reason is my disability is called osteogenesis imperfecta, which means imperfect bone formation. And I wanted to have a subtle nod to my disability in there. The second reason is because I wrote a song in 2022 called Perfect, and it's a lyric from one of my songs, and I thought that was a special thing to include some lyrics. And then the third and most important reason is kind of the theme of the book. I think we so often are taught in society that disability is negative, that challenges that we experience are to be avoided at all costs, whether it's related to our disability or just in life, and that the only time we have permission to be happy is when things are easy and going well. And I want to push back on that idea and say that what shapes our lives are both good and bad things, and it leads to the next part of our journey. And I don't think we know very often what is going to be transformative until it's already happened. And so it wasn't meant to be perfect. And we learn from all sorts of experiences. And when we give ourselves permission to to choose joy anyways, and to embrace life even when it's frustrating, I think we have more opportunities to see the beautiful synchronicities that do show up in our lives. The big reason I think that way, I think, is because the song I wrote, that I entered into the Tiny Desk contest in 2016 and won, that song was written after a really scary hospital stay. And my husband Paul was with me through the whole thing, and he was very comforting. And I wrote it about our relationship. And as terrible as that time was, it really changed my life, because that song ended up taking me on a whole different path. And I'm not saying that we need to go seek out stressful situations or and accept the world as it is. I think we can always make it more welcoming and more accessible, but yet the idea that it doesn't have to be perfect to be full is a big part of my worldview. So I'm glad that that resonated with you, Haben, because it's an important part of the book.
I felt that from reading so many of your stories. And I identify with that because I feel like for many of us disabled people, especially disabled people who go on to create art, whether that's music or book, it's a lot of pressure to try to be perfect in order to get the invitations, to get the publications, to gain followers online. And how do we get to that point where we can embrace your title and say, I can find joy and happiness even when I'm not perfect? So to communicate that as a question, you have so many good stories. Was there a specific story when you realized that as much as you, that part of being public as a musician and creator is also accepting that things don't have to be perfect all the time? Was there a time on stage or in a band or preparation where you realized you can let go of the pressure to be perfect?
Yes. I think the biggest influence musically in my life was a person named Alan Sparhawk. He showed me how to use the looping pedal. He walked me through. As I wrote my first songs, I would show them to him and he would help me like tweak them. And he was just such a good mentor. And one of the times we had a show, we had a band together. He was in a band called Low, and they were very well known, and they were from my hometown. But also, we had a little project called The Murder of Crows. And in that project, we played a gig one time at a bar, and it was very noisy, and basically nobody was paying attention. And I remember feeling kind of frustrated. And he said, you can't hear the people who are listening. And it's like, what? My brain, I got goosebumps just now again, because it was so remarkable of him to say that. And that kind of shifts the focus away from ourselves. And you realize you're giving any art you make, whether it's a book or a painting or music, you're giving the audience a gift, and it's not yours to decide what they do with it. And it takes the spotlight off of you and puts it on the creative energy. And that's really important because it's hard and a losing battle to think that you'll ever be happy at a certain level of success. Like that is never ever going to make any of us happy. Otherwise, everybody who's successful would be happy. And I think we know where that leads us. So that's not a good measure. A good measure is a gift that you give. And that's kind of the end of the story because art is so much bigger than us. And so being perfect, the other thing about that is I might have a show where I feel like it didn't go very well or it wasn't, things went wrong or whatever. Like we started 10 minutes late, right? So that happens, but the reality is it's a gift you still give, and the audience isn't living through you. They're taking it in from their own experience. So sometimes you can have a show that feels really stressful, and then somebody comes up to you after and says, I really needed to hear that today. And so we can't change how people interpret our art. We can only put it out there. And so those things kind of keep me grounded. I mean, I get off track in my mind. I think we all do, but I try to pull it back as soon as I notice those thoughts creeping in because they aren't going to help anything, myself or others around me. Back to you, Haben.
Thank you for bringing it back to me. So, Haben speaking, I love your idea that art is a gift, and we should train ourselves to think of our art as a gift. I know for me, I often don't know right away when my art has an impact. I don't know how people reading my book or watching one of my videos is going to feel or what action they're going to take. But if you interpret your art as a gift, you can make peace with knowing there are people who are going to derive value and who will be moved to take action, whether that's creating accessible musical programs or supporting more disabled artists. There's so many ways our art has an impact and we don't know, and we need to make peace and accept that not knowing. I know Duluth, your hometown, was a big part of your musical development and your development as a person and a disabled person at that. It was very supportive. There were so many fun stories of people throughout Duluth, from your family to strangers, adapting the environment to make it more accessible. Even kids, there are kids in Duluth who are making the community more accessible. Can you share an example of kids providing access?
Well, my siblings were great. I mean, they still are. And we did a lot of things together, went on a lot of adventures. And one of my favorite memories, which I did this one didn't even make it in the book. There's a few. And I'll leave the one that's in the book for you to find later. But one time my brother Ben, my oldest brother, wanted us to all go on a bike ride together. And that included me. And so in order to be safe, haha, he tied me on the back of his newspaper rack with twine like this, like in a big circles, lots of twine. And I held on to him and we went all over town. And we were sworn to secrecy because we kind of knew my parents were not going to be happy about that idea. But we got busted by my dad's coworker. She's like, I saw your kids on a bike ride. And he's like, well, not Gaelynn. Oh, Gaelynn was there. And so I did grow up in a really supportive environment. And I must say, as I wrote the memoir, I know that's not everyone's experience. I feel a lot of emotion about that, that a lot of people with disabilities aren't in supportive environments. And I recognize the privilege. Like we were poor, but we had a lot of support. Like, so that it's economically was not a wealthy environment, but it was a very, very loving environment and a really creative community. And I hope that the book, instead of feeling, why didn't I have that, that we work, because I know that that's real. Like I just want to put that out there, that I understand that it's a huge gift to have a family and a community that supports you. I just really want us to make a community like that for everybody now, for like the next generation. Like I don't, we can't necessarily undo the communities that we came from, but we can build new things inside of them. And that's what I hope people take away from the book, is that it is possible. I had a integrated dance class when I was 5 because I told someone, that an occupational therapist, that I wanted to be a ballerina. She literally took it upon herself to create a class. I mean, I know people in New York City that were like, I wish there had been dance for me when I was a kid. And I was like, well, you should have lived in Duluth, apparently. Like, I don't understand how I got so lucky, but I think that it's possible because I've seen it happen. And the more understanding and welcoming we can make our society, the better that the next generation will have it. So support is so important. And I hope that we can be that support for the next generation, regardless of whether or not we have a disability. We can all work towards making that kind of world. And I know that the people at the DCC are definitely doing that. So I'm just so glad to see places like this thriving. So yeah. Back to you, Haben.
I want to stress that a lot of the adaptations made in Duluth are also low cost adaptations. So based on the stories, it's kids deciding to share their bike or do something a different way. And one of my favorite stories from the book gives an example of an extremely low cost adaptation. It's the camping adaptation.
Should I tell what that is?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. So I'll just tell you the story. We were home alone, me and my older sister and my little brother. My mom was at a Mary Kay consultation because she was a Mary Kay lady. And so she left us home alone with my older sister in charge. And we got this idea that we absolutely needed to go buy candy, but my wheelchair was out of battery. And so we put me in a camping backpack and had my sister carry me around the house to make sure she could do it. And we like test run again, very safe, right? And then we head out, and of course we get busted. We get busted again. As I'm coming around the corner, my mom pulls up because she forgot something, and she ran back to the house. And she's like, "You left Gaelynn alone at home?" And Corey's like, "No." And then she just looked very confused. And then my sister had to be like, "She's in my backpack." And then we got in trouble again. But it was free. You're right, Haben.
So what you shared about New York City and people being like, I wish I had that adaptive dance class. I also get that where people say, where I was growing up in Ethiopia, we didn't have Braille computers, or in my community, there were no sign language interpreters. We want all communities to have access to assistive technology, interpreters, adaptive dance classes. And until we get to that point, we can still make free, low cost adaptations that provide access for our community. And Gaelynn received a ton of support which is partly how she became successful, but she also gives support to her community and lifts up other people in her community. And one of those stories is providing support for the deaf community.
So Haben is talking about in college. I was part of a group called Access for All, which was the disability awareness group on campus. And I was one of the 3 co-leaders of the group. There were 3 of us. And we found out kind of by accident that they had secretly planned to cut 50% of the ASL programming. They hadn't told anyone, they hadn't made it public, but kids just couldn't sign up for anything past level 3. And there were a lot of kids really dedicated to it, and it was a really cool part of our college. And the excuse that we got from the administration was that the ASL program wasn't a minor, it was just standalone classes. So it didn't have secured funding. And so it was the most vulnerable. And so we decided that we would advocate to have a deaf studies minor created on campus. We got a petition going. We had 1,400 signatures. We held a big public forum, and 400 people came out, including some state senators and representatives, and a lot of people from the deaf community. And I myself am not deaf, but I grew up around a man who was learning sign after 20 years of just lip reading. And it was making such a big positive impact in his life. By the time I got to college, it just was really obvious that it's a hugely important part of communication. And the more we educate people and allow that education to be easy to access, the more people can communicate. And so we did end up securing a minor. Really tragically, the year I was editing the book, they cut the program. And so I was very sad, and I thought about taking out the chapter, but it ran for 16 years. And so there's a lot of people that got to take ASL, and it was important to me to talk about how to make a change like that at your college, because it was just 3, and the administration did not love us, but they got over it. They realized that this was a genuine desire of the community, and they eventually did support us. So I just want to give a blueprint for how that kind of change can happen. And to me, the biggest problem with the lack of access is still that we're not teaching disability history in schools. I mean, we still aren't really doing that. And so I think the more that we push disability culture into the mainstream as much as possible, and especially in education, people who are not disabled, a lot of times when they find out what's really going on, do care more. It's a lack of awareness that's really, really slowing down progress. So anything we can do. I mean, the community came out to support the deaf studies minor. They weren't inherently fired up about it, but when they got educated about how important it was, they did start to care. So it's just education is such a big part of this process of creating a more accessible world. Back to you, Haben.
16 years is a lot. And that's so many thousands of students who learned ASL thanks to your advocacy and the advocacy of the other students of the time. So this book, Gaelynn's book, is offering people a guide on how to advocate for disability programs in universities or other settings. And we often start out with self-advocacy, advocating for ourselves. But over time, as we develop our disability justice consciousness, we get stronger at community advocacy, advocating for disabled lives different from ours. And this book helps us along that journey. I'm going to switch over to talking about music. I'm not a musician, and I've heard that a lot of music pressures people to move in a certain way, to practice for thousands of hours, trying to be like famous musicians who move and operate musical instruments in specific ways. And when you have a physical disability, that creates new questions. So, Gaelynn, how did you navigate that mismatch between traditional ideas of how you should hold and move with instruments to finding a way that works for you?
That's a great question. What I again got very lucky in that fifth grade. We took a music listening test. I knew I wanted to try a stringed instrument because I had heard them the year before and fallen instantly in love. I thought I wanted to play the cello, but it was too big. It ended up not working out. But I knew I wanted to do it. And then in fifth grade, I took a music listening test with my peers, and that year I was the only kid that got a perfect score, which I think is why the teacher, who was not related to disability in any way, but was a junior high public school orchestra teacher, she was like, this person probably could play if we can find a way to do it. And so she took me in um, by myself one day, and we just messed around with instruments until we found a way that I could hold it. It turns out I could hold my violin like a cello, and I could hold my bow like an upright bass player. And so those two things combined meant that I could adapt to the violin. Now, as people here who have disabilities know, adapting doesn't feel that scary if you're disabled, because you adapt so many things in your daily life that it's sort of just how you think. Like, well, how am I going to make this work? You know what I mean? That's just like your default mode. But the remarkable part of that story is that she was open to it. And luckily, I had private lesson teachers, which again, we were low income. So we bartered for dinner theater tickets for my parents' dinner theater. But they were interested, I think, in trying to find a way to help me do it because it was new, and they didn't really know. Like, so I worked with teachers who were really supportive. Not everyone was. I had a teacher who wasn't supportive, and didn't ever really get over the fact that I played differently and didn't really take me seriously around my peers. But for the most part, a lot of the people who ended up mattering to me did support and try to push me to do my best on whatever I could do. And so I think, again, when I got on the road after the tiny desk, I met so many people that felt that their teachers didn't encourage them. And it makes me really sad. And I talk a lot about teaching in the book because I just don't think it's good for any kind of music to discourage kids. It doesn't even have to do with disabilities specifically, but if a kid has quote unquote bad posture and they get shoved out of orchestra, they miss out on a chance to make music for the rest of their lives. Like, that's a big loss. And so I want to think more expansively about music, not just for physical disability, but for everybody, because it's not something we should be snatching away from people. It's something we should be supporting as long as they want to try it.
I'm really I'm really grateful that you had these instructors who were supporting you and being innovative on let's try different things, because I have heard of so many experiences that are the opposite of that. So you have developed your musical talent. You've traveled all over the world. And because you're human and we're all human, we sometimes have this tricky question when you receive an award or you get an invitation that's prestigious. How do you know if you're getting that because you're disabled or because they like your music?
That is a real question. um, I will say, when I first won the tiny desk, I was really excited for a couple days. There was a week before they told anyone. So I knew about it for a whole week before they announced it. And then, like, halfway through the week, I started feeling like, oh no, like, what if it was just because I play different and they saw something, like, I got really uncomfortable. So I eventually did talk to Bob Boylan, who was the host of the show. And I said, I know this is weird, but I have to ask, like, is this really because of the music or is this because I have a disability? And he said, I kind of wondered if you were going to think that. And I just want you to know that two of the judges weren't even looking at their screens. They like ran over to see who it was when they heard it. And so I was just like, that meant so much. I'm getting choked up, but it meant a lot. But also, even now, you can't control, again, it's a gift you give. You can't control how people take it. Most people, I feel confident that the music I make is my best music I can make, right? Like I hope I continue to grow as an artist, but I'm making stuff that feels genuine to me. I'm not trying to fit a mold. I'm trying to make my music, right? And I'm pretty comfortable now knowing that most people who are attracted to my music, which by the way, I still play shows to like 10 people sometimes. So it's not like world famous or whatever. But I do think that most people who are drawn to my music are drawn for it for the music. Like they are there because they something in them connects with my songs. And then there's always going to be the random person who's like, gosh, it's so, what do I got to complain about? Right? Like that kind of thing. And yet, it probably made them think, and maybe this is a seed that gets planted for later. I don't need to be the one that like chastises them for, if they're really rude, I will say something, obviously, but genuinely, like, I like to just give people the space to take it in, and then, like, I don't have to carry their baggage for them. They can have their reaction, and I can go on and just know that I'm making real art, and that it usually is received the way that I want it to be. And I kind of think, again, I think disability is very universal. Like, I think it's just literally part of life. And so I think there are analogies for every artist. I don't think there's any artist who always feels understood when they play a song. And some people take it totally a different way. And again, it's not ours to hold anymore. Once we make art and put it out there, how they interpret it is up to them. That's why I'm such a big believer in education, because we're not going to change people's inherent biases without educating them about disability. I wrote this book as a disability sneak attack. That's what I call it. Because I want musicians and music lovers and arts lovers to read it and then accidentally learn a crap ton about disability. And that's how I wrote it. I hope. I think that's how it came across, is very rooted in music and yet hopefully educating and connecting with disabled people too. I wanted to write a book about disability that didn't make disabled people want to stop on it. You know what I mean? Like, I've read plenty of books about disability that make me pretty mad. So I was like, those are my two goals, my two target audiences, I guess. And Haben, I think we have time for one more question, I think.
Okay, I'll make it a good one. So we have a lot of people from the disability community here. And as people navigate different spaces, there are so many different kinds of barriers. And Gaelynn has built up her advocacy skills over the years by experiencing all kinds of barriers on all kinds of stages around the world. So, Gaelynn, what advice can you share from your years of being an access coordinator for yourself and your team? What advice do you have for disabled musicians and artists?
Well, first of all, I feel you. Like, it is really hard. I'm not going to pretend that it's easy to make your shows accessible, but I would encourage you to feel empowered to do it. A lot of people, because of the tiny desk, and I understand why, feel like, oh well, you got national attention. Of course, you can say I want it to be accessible, but it really was a choice. Like, the second time I went to a venue that had a ramp the first time to the stage, and it was awesome. I was very excited, so I went back to that venue, and that time they said, well, that was pretty expensive, so we're just going to lift your chair on stage. And So I realized that it wasn't going to change unless I demanded that it changed. And that is a responsibility. That's a lot, like, not gonna lie. But the more of us that do that, the better and faster things will move. I am pretty explicit in the book about non-disabled artists should be doing this too. It's not just our job to be playing only accessible venues or to make sure that people who come and ourselves can use the bathroom or get in the door or see the stage or get on the stage. There's many pieces, right? But I think creativity, which is a hallmark of disability culture, helps us to navigate. I did one tour that I call the Unitarian Church Tour because I played at 6 Unitarian churches because I couldn't find regular venues. But people came and they were fun shows. So, like, you can do it. It's more work in your mind and it's a little more troubleshooting. But I will just tell you that events that are really accessible, like this one, or even the one last night I played in Nevada, had ASL interpretation, the energy in the room is better because it's welcoming. It's legitimately people are thought of before they come. And I think that's so refreshing that when you see an audience actually like benefiting from that energy, it makes it worth it. So my goal is I want a 3-year-old to be able to do what I do with like way less hassle by the time they're an adult. And like I think that requires all of us. And I don't think you can do perfect. Again, the title of the book is It Wasn't Meant to Be Perfect. I'm not asking people to get no sleep and make sure every single thing is set up 100% perfect all the time. I think you do what you can with what you have, including spoon ratios, right? Like when you can do it, but don't think you don't have power because you do. And so, like, anything you can do to be more welcoming and accessible is a win. And so we just all need to be putting our little wins in. Like in reality, if I had had more spoons, I would have had captioning at every show. Instead, I have ASL because I was like, you know what? I'm putting this on myself. Like, I'm not gonna like, I just got to be real about what I can do, but I can do something. And so that's sort of where I'm at now, and I'm sure I'll evolve. And you might start out feeling that you're not empowered enough or big enough or like have enough weight to say, oh, I won't play at your venue because it's not accessible. But eventually you'll get tired of being lifted on stages and you'll come to your own realization. I wasn't born playing only accessible venues. I had to get to a point where I realized I needed it to change and I needed to be part of the solution. And I think we're all on that journey and we'll get there on our own paces. So don't judge yourself too harshly if you don't feel ready for that. But know that it is possible and it's a DIY thing. Like I like to call it accessibility is the new punk rock because like that's kind of what it is, in my opinion. Thank you, Haben, for doing this.
Absolutely. So that's a reminder to everyone that we're all part of this community of advocating for different disabilities. So we should all be advocating for ASL, wheelchair access, visual descriptions. And for our next part,
Oh, yeah, we forgot.
Gaelynn will be playing. Before you start, do you think you can offer a visual description of how you play?
Yes, it first of all dawned on me about one question ago that we had never done visual descriptions. So I'm going to do one and I'll also explain how I'm going to play. So my name is Gaelynn, obviously. You already know that. I'm a short white woman sitting in an electric wheelchair, travel chair, with a colorful dress and my long hair is braided behind me. I have a blue flower clip in my hair. I have a cutting board under my legs because this is a travel wheelchair and there's not enough room to play violin otherwise. And how I will play is there will be a silver box under my left leg and it's a looping pedal. I push the button down and it records what I play. I push it down again and it adds a layer and it can go beautifully or horribly wrong. So we'll find out. And because it's all live. And then I hold my violin in front of me, in front of my body like a small cello. and I pull the bow across. My arms and legs are bent because of my disability. And so it kind of looks like I'm in the lotus position all the time. But that's why I play the way that I do, because I can't put the violin up on my shoulder. And Haben, do you want to do a visual description? I'm sorry, we did not do that at the beginning, but I'm glad you reminded us.
So I'm dressed all in black with a colorful scarf, and I have a braille display on my lap, a German Shepherd guide dog beside me, and I am a woman with medium dark skin in my 30s, long black hair. And now for the music.
Thank you so much, Haben, for joining me. I love hanging out with you, so thank you. Cool. Yep. And then my bow. And I might have to move this mic here over. Just like a half an inch. That way, just a little bit, actually. Other way. Yeah. I might need the rosin. Milo. And then original audio, right? Oh, it is. Great. You're speedy. Oh, yes, for sure. Thank you so much to Haben. Can we give her a round of applause? Yeah. She's become a dear friend, and I'm just so excited that we got to do an event together. So thank you. I'm going to play. Milo is being rascally. I'm going to play 7 songs for you. Do we have enough time for that? Okay, cool. This song is called Watch the World Unfold. It's about not being so hard on yourself when you make a mistake. Pushing up through the dirt just like a seed, but you're never quite a flower. You feel more just like a weed. Driving through. You wanna know where you are going, but the windshield's always dirty, and you never get to see what makes you think that you'll ever get there. What makes you think you deserve to know? Who are you really? Are you so important? Take a look around and watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. need advice. You have no clue what you're doing. Moral compass it is spinning, an identity unhinged. Where to turn, where to turn? There's so many opinions, and they're all a little different, and the outlook's getting dim. What makes you think that you'll ever get there? What makes you think you deserve to know? Who are you really? Are you so important? Take a look around and watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Pushing up through the dirt just like a seed, but you're never quite a flower. You feel more just like a weed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So this next song is the song that I entered into the Tiny Desk contest, which is 10 years ago already, which feels really weird. Like, time has gone way too fast. Some of those were the years, like the skipped years, so I suppose that's why it went so fast. But this song, as I said, was about my husband, Paul, after that hospital stay, and just kind of thinking about how our love is very different in some ways than typical love, but it's still rich and deep, and that is kind of the point of this song, I think. Which I think, again, pretty universal ultimately, right? So here we go. vintage wine, all rotted leaves and lemon rinds. I spit you out, but now you're mine. We bit the fruits, it seemed a lie. I'll never know which way was right. Now side by side we face the night, and I love you, and I love you. We walked the pier and back again. It was the most scared I've ever been. You held my hand until the end, and I love you. love you. Don't tell me we've got time. The subtle thief of life, it slips away when we pay no mind. We pull the weeds out till the dawn, nearly too tired to carry on. Someday we'll linger in the sun, and I love you. And I love you. And I love you. And I love you. Thank you. Thank you. It feels so good to be here. I really, really, really love San Francisco. So thank you. So the next song is called The Long Way Around, and it's about friendship that goes through a pretty intense period of struggle, but does make it through to the other side. And so this is based on a true unnamed story. But I think we've all had those kind of situations where you're glad that you made it through. So here we go. When two souls meet and the whole world feels new, shared moments sweet, all colors bright and true, and there is laughter, and there are good things growing everywhere. And And I'm happy to be in this place with you. And I'm happy to be in this place. You let it out. You laid it all across the table. What's this about? And you're making me unstable. And I don't wanna go down this road with you. No, I don't want to go down this road. I want to go, but I can't, and I won't. I'll learn to sew up the wounds that I broke open with you. 'Cause I knew, and I chose, and I don't feel at home in this world anymore. No, I don't feel at home in this world. We rein it in, and there is better understanding. Nobody wins if there is flight without the landing, and we learn to keep our hearts in time. Try not to burn the careful ties that bind us together. And I'm taking the long way around with you. And I'm taking the long way around. And I'm happy to be in this place with you. And I'm taking the long way around. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I gotta do this song at this place. This song is a song I wrote in 2017 when the healthcare debates were raging, and John McCain came in and put his thumb down, and we all breathed the biggest sigh of relief ever. And I was really frustrated during that chapter for obvious reasons, but partly because people with disabilities were not getting enough coverage as to why Medicaid was so incredibly essential. And I felt like we didn't even have a seat at the table. I would read so many articles that would talk about the impact of cutting Medicaid back, and they wouldn't even mention disabilities. And it felt really alienating, and I was very frustrated. I wrote this song, and then right around the same time, all those activists got arrested in their senators' offices, which was pretty awesome. So then people started talking about it. And so this song came out of that, and it's called I Wait. And it's about the It's about the frustration of not having a seat at the table. And I dedicate it to everybody, especially the people at the DCC and so many activists who are really, really putting a lot of effort into making the world a better place. The generation before them, the current generation, and then hopefully our generation will come and keep the tradition going. So thank you to all you guys do. And this is I Wait. And I wish it wasn't relevant right now. Let me just, I can't believe I didn't say that. I'm like, when is this song going to not be relevant? I just want it to not be relevant. So And everybody in here knows Medicaid is way more than just going to the doctor. It's like so many parts of our lives. And so I feel it's a little redundant to tell you to call your representatives here. But if you hadn't thought of it yet, that would be a good idea. So please continue to raise your voices to support and protect Medicaid in every way that we can, even on the state levels, all these levels. So yeah, that's the other part. I always say that at non-disabled audiences, talk about it for a while. Go into a brief policy discussion and then get back to the music. Here we go. I'm gonna quickly. Okay, it was bugging me. Okay, back on. Can you see me way in the back here? I've been waiting in line. It's been a long time, can't get no service. Still I am hoping for a sign that one day things will change and we can finally take our place. That history won't forget us or try to minimize our pain. And so I wait. And so I wait. Did you know that when I get angry, I breathe fire? I could burn this place down. You may not realize all of the small ways I am not welcome, but just take a look around. Still, everybody knows that you need a place to go. And living isn't easy if you incinerate your home. And so I stay. And so I stay. I may seem angry, so please forgive me, but I am still not free in this society. How long must we keep fighting for our right to be living? Wrongs overdue for righting. We're a bit too forgiving. So if you hear them make claims of progress, take a good look and see who isn't there. We need a seat now at the table, so please invite us, or don't pretend to care. Thank you. Thank you. That's my only angry song in the repertoire, but gotta have one of those sometimes. So this song is called Perfect. We didn't even mention this, but I composed the music for Macbeth on Broadway back in 2022, and it's real weird. So like, you can find it on Bandcamp. They're like 12-minute, super intense ambient songs, but there is a couple vocal tracks, and this is the last thing in the whole play. It's the Lady Macbeth theme. I wrote it about marriage and about how you kind of like miss the bigger picture sometimes. But my husband and I do not murder people. I just like to clarify. It happened to cross over for other reasons that it felt appropriate for her too. So this is called Perfect. And it's where the book title came from. This is the song. I got it wrong. It wasn't meant to be, wasn't meant to be perfect. We were so busy painting, we didn't see the corner. Some days we both felt trapped there, but still the nights were warmer. We navigated love, terms and conditions applied. Some were pre-existing, others grew over time. Behind the scenes, we just wouldn't let it go, wouldn't let it go to pieces. Who knew we'd dig our own graves here? No other would tend them with such great care. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Tragedy is viewed through its own lens, but just out of frame sits an old friend, watching our choices play out in the end, returning each other to where we began. Wish I had known it wasn't meant to be, wasn't meant to be perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I have 2 more songs for you. Is that okay? Are we good on time? Okay, cool. So are you willing to help me with a sing-along? Okay, cool. I asked in North Dakota one time, and everyone's arms were crossed and nobody said anything, and I should have aborted the plan. Like, it was the worst 5 minutes of everybody's life, and so I'm glad you're willing to. So this song is pretty easy. It is just, I'm going to set up a loop, and we're going to come in together, and we're going to sing this line twice. We're going to sing, "Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. So it's just bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. And we're going to come in together twice, and we're going to sing it again, and you're going to keep going. We're going to sing it twice. You're going to sing it all the way to the end of the song, or sign it, like just that line again and again and again. And you can't stop because it's really anticlimactic at the end if everybody else has stopped already. So keep going, and I'll make it clear when we're done. But let's practice it once or twice just to be prepared. And just so you know, this song is about disability in like a veiled way. It's just about how no matter what happens to you, your spirit is always free. And so the bird song I wrote pretty early on with that idea in mind. So let's practice it together. So it goes, bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. Pretty strong, but do you want another rehearsal? Okay. Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. Awesome. Anyone need a third try, or are we feeling good? Feeling good. Okay, cool. So I'm going to set it up, and then we come in together, singing and signing. You keep going with that same line, and I promise we'll end together. So, cool. Okay. Like a bird in the sky, fly round and round and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. You make me feel like a bird in the sky, fly round and round and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. Keep singing. Like a bird in the sky, fly round and round, and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. You make me feel like a bird in the sky, fly round and round, and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. Bird, why do you sing? Clip your wings. Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. Aw, great job. Thank you. So glad. Thank you for singing along with me and signing with me. I have one more song. And I hope to talk to many of you after. I'm going to sign books right up here. There's books out there. I hand painted some postcards. Those are out there. Fun. My husband will sell you a postcard if you want. And I just am so grateful for the Disability Cultural Center for making this happen, and to Haben for being a conversation partner and a friend, and just to my friend Mike for providing this beautiful speaker. Lots of things came together to make this happen, and my husband Paul and the bookstore. So thank you all for making this happen. So this song is The Parting Glass. I believe that its origins is from Scotland, and yet it was adopted and much beloved by the Irish. However, I don't like to get into it because I feel nobody ever really agrees, but it's a Celtic song, and it's sung at the end of the night, or at funerals, or at the end of celebrations. It's a farewell song. And to me, it's just a thank you so much for being here, and farewell, and travel safe home wherever you are going. So thank you for being here. And yeah, I'm just so glad this worked out. This was really fun. So yay, and I'll talk to you all soon. And everyone online, I wish I could see you back there, but hello, everybody online. I know a lot of my friends are tuning in because they weren't in the towns that I was traveling to, so it's really fun to know that people are online too. So here we go. All the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and all the trouble that e'er I caused, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wits to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and thank you for listening, and thank you to everybody who made this happen. Have a wonderful night. Thank you. Aw, yay.
All right, just a few closing notes to close us out. Oh, that was a beautiful program. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you for our late start and our virtual guests who waited around for that. I think it's a good example of both Gaelynn's book title and that good things are worth waiting for. So glad you stuck it out. We have a bunch of upcoming events. We have a quilting circle next week to learn about our Disability Visibility Quilt Project. We have a town hall to learn about all the things that have happened in our first year at the DCC and a lot more. So you can go to dcc.page/links to get signed up for all our stuff. Thank you so much to our program today, to our Access team. And once again, this is a program of the San Francisco Disability Cultural Center, which is a project of LC and Lily Cox, Haven of Hope, and made possible with the financial contributions of the City of San Francisco's Human Service Agency's Department of Disability and Aging Services. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Well, that was super fun. Yeah, I think.